Picture this: a majestic king surrounded by his 4 queens, each representing a different aspect of his life. The first queen, a symbol of his soul, is radiant with an inner glow. The second queen, embodying the king's family and friends, is warm and gracious. The third queen, standing for the king's wealth, shimmers with the allure of material possessions. And the fourth queen, representing the king's body, is a vision of physical strength and vitality. Together, they form the pillars that define the king's existence. They are his companions, his confidants, his consolations. Each queen, a testament to the king's power, wealth, relationships, and health. They are the embodiments of his life's pursuits, his triumphs, and his treasures. Yet among these queens lies a hierarchy, a hidden truth that the king is yet to understand. Little did the king know that he was about to face a test that would reveal the true nature of his queens. The king fell gravely ill, and he knew his end was near. The once robust and energetic ruler was now confined to his bed, his strength waning with each passing day. His once vibrant eyes now held a mirror to his mortality, reflecting the inevitability of life's transient nature. As his health deteriorated, the walls of his grand palace seemed to close in on him, and the echo of his own mortality became louder. In the midst of his suffering, the king yearned for companionship, for someone to accompany him on this final lonely journey. He was a king who had everything: wealth, power, love, yet in this moment of profound solitude, he felt an emptiness that none of his possessions could fill. He yearned for a presence, a comfort that his material wealth could not provide. The king turned to his queens one by one, hoping to find a willing companion. The king asked his fourth queen, his body, to accompany him. In the face of mortality, he turned to his physical self, his strength, his vitality, the vessel that had carried him through countless battles and victories. He implored his body, his fourth queen, to stay with him, to fight against the inevitable. But his plea was met with a deafening silence. His body, this once robust and invincible fortress, was now frail, succumbing to the ravages of time and illness. It could not follow him to the end. The king felt a deep disappointment, a hollow echo within him. He had lavished attention on his physical self, only to find it incapable of accompanying him on the final journey. This harsh truth was a bitter pill to swallow. His physical existence, it seemed, was transient, temporary. It was a stark reminder of the impermanence of life. The king moved on to the third queen, his wealth, hoping for a different answer. The king appealed to his wealth, his third queen, to join him. His voice echoed through the grand halls, a plea wrapped in desperation. The king, once so mighty and revered, now found himself seeking the comfort of his amassed fortune. He hoped that his wealth, his precious jewels and golden treasures might offer solace in his final days. Yet the third queen, his wealth, remained unmoved. "I can't accompany you," she responded, her voice as cold as the diamond tiaras she represented. "My place is here amongst the riches and luxuries of this realm. I can't venture into the unknown with you." The king's heart sank further. His wealth, his hard-earned fortune, couldn't offer him the companionship he sought. In this moment of despair, he understood the transient nature of material wealth. It was a painful realization, a bitter pill to swallow. With a heavy heart, the king approached his second queen, his loved ones. The king implored his second queen, his family and friends, to come with him. He pleaded with the fervor of a man who knew his days were numbered. The second queen represented the bonds of kinship and friendship, the warmth of shared laughter, the comfort of a shared shoulder in times of sorrow. This queen, his loved ones, agreed to accompany him, but her promise had a boundary. She would walk with him, but only up to the gates of his eternal journey. She would not cross the threshold into the unknown with him. She would stand by his grave, mourn his passing, and remember him fondly, but she would not venture further. The king felt a pang of sorrow. Here were the people he'd shared his life with, the ones he'd laughed and cried with, celebrated victories and mourned losses with. But when it came to the ultimate journey, they could only walk with him part of the way. It was a profound realization that hit the king like a thunderbolt. Even the most cherished relationships have their limits. They provide support, comfort, and companionship, but there are thresholds they cannot cross. There are journeys we must undertake alone. This truth filled the king with a sense of loneliness. He had been surrounded by wealth, power, and loved ones his whole life. Yet when it came to his final journey, he found himself alone. The realization was bitter, yet it was also enlightening. It showed him the transient nature of worldly attachments and the importance of a deeper connection. The king understood that his loved ones could accompany him up to his grave, but beyond that, he needed a companion who would not falter, who would not stop at the threshold. He needed a companion for his soul's journey. This realization was a turning point for the king. He had sought companionship in his body, in his wealth, and in his loved ones. But they had all shown their limits. With a heavy heart but a hopeful spirit, the king turned to his last hope, his last queen. Finally, the king turned to his first queen, his soul. With hope dwindling, the king asked his first queen, his soul, to join him. In the quiet of the royal chambers, the king turned to his first queen, the embodiment of his inner self, his soul. He pleaded, "Will you accompany me, my first queen, on my journey beyond this life?" His voice echoed the desperation and loneliness that had begun to fill his heart. To his surprise and relief, the first queen agreed. "Yes, my king," she said, "I will accompany you. I have been with you from the beginning, and I will stay with you till the end. In life and in death, I am your true companion." This was the pledge the king had been yearning for. A sense of relief washed over him, a feeling of being understood, of being seen. His soul, his first queen, had promised to stay with him, to journey with him to the unknown. The king's heart, heavy with the refusals of his other queens, suddenly felt lighter. This moment of revelation was a turning point for the king. He realized that his soul, his first queen, was the only one who had remained loyal to him. While his body, his wealth, and even his loved ones had limits to their companionship, his soul promised to stay unconditionally. The king understood then the importance of nurturing the soul, of listening to its voice. He saw that his soul was not just a part of him, but his very essence, his true self. It was the guiding light, the voice whispering wisdom amid the clamor of worldly pursuits. In this realization, the king found a profound understanding of companionship. His soul, his first queen, was his eternal companion. She was the one who had been with him all along, often neglected but always present. She was the one who would accompany him to the end and beyond. In the twilight of his life, the king discovered the depth of the first queen's loyalty. He realized that the soul's companionship was the most genuine, the most enduring. The king learned a valuable lesson just as his life was ending. In his final moments, the king understood the true nature of his queens. He had sought companionship for his final journey, only to be met with refusals from the queens who represented his body and material wealth. These queens, who he had lavished with attention and riches, could not accompany him in death, highlighting the transient nature of physical existence and material possessions. The third queen, the embodiment of his wealth, had declined his plea. She was a testament to the king's material obsessions, a mirror reflecting back the hollow emptiness of worldly desires. This queen had been adorned with the finest jewels, yet she could not provide the comfort he sought in his darkest hour. Her refusal was a stark reminder that material possessions offer fleeting contentment, unable to accompany us beyond the confines of this world. The fourth queen, symbolizing his body, also declined his request. This served as a poignant reminder of the impermanence of our physical existence. Despite the king's efforts to maintain his health and strength, his body could not accompany him in death. It was a lesson on the importance of caring for the soul, the essence of our being that transcends the physical realm. Then there was the second queen, the embodiment of his relationships. She offered her support, but only until his funeral. This queen, representing the love of family and friends, highlighted the limitations of external relationships. They can provide comfort and support, but they can only accompany us to the grave. This underscored the importance of nurturing a deeper connection with our soul. Finally, the first queen, the personification of his soul, was the only one willing to join him. She was often neglected, yet she remained loyal, ready to accompany him in his final journey. This queen's loyalty was a testament to the soul's eternal nature. It was a lesson on the importance of self-care, of listening to the voice of our soul, our true guide in life. The king's story serves as a reminder to us all: our soul is our true companion, and nurturing it brings genuine happiness.